Hey everybody, Chris the old ass retro gamer here. As you can tell by the video that I released not too long ago, I am a big fan of the PSVR, the PlayStation VR virtual reality headset. It is fantastic. I highly recommend it if you haven't picked one up already. Because it was discounted and a bunch of bundles came out over Black Friday, I'm assuming a lot of you have bought it. Therefore, this video is going to help you out in an area that not a lot of people are aware of, and that is the fact that the PSVR plays 3D Blu-rays in the headset without the need of a 3D television. I know a lot of 4K televisions actually do have 3D functionality built into it. Most of them do not even advertise the fact that they do. You have to do a little bit of research to find out if your model does or not. Mine does not. Therefore, if I'm going to watch a 3D Blu-ray, I have to do it in the VR headset, which I know a lot of people might say that sounds really uncomfortable or not that fun. Trust me, I've done it a lot, and I too had the exact same problem when I first got my PSVR. I'm like, do I really want to watch a movie in this big contraption strapped to my head? Once you get into the movie, usually with me it's about 15 minutes in, I totally forget that I'm watching it through this headset. So it's not too bad. So I wanted to share 10 movies that show off exactly how good the 3D in the PSVR headset really is. Me being a huge film fan, I've been collecting 3D Blu-rays for the longest time with the anticipation of getting a 4K TV that did have the ability to play 3D movies. Didn't happen, but now that I have the PSVR, I have a way to watch these movies. I mean, look at all this. These are all the 3D Blu-rays I have in my collection right now. I want to put out a disclaimer at first. I am not talking about the quality of the movie itself. Some of these movies are not fan favorites. They are not popular movies. They are not movies that got great reviews. I'm talking just specifically about the 3D, and my stipulations for what made for a good 3D movie were that not only did it have to look good for action scenes, those cheap gags with things poking you in the eye, but also just look good throughout the entire movie. Like when just two people are talking, it still had to be 3D and done well. So which 10 movies do I think take full advantage of the 3D capabilities of the PSVR? The Lion King 3D. I did manage to see this one in the theater when it had its 3D run, and it looked pretty good. I was surprised that an older movie like from the mid-90s was actually able to be upconverted to 3D so well. So my girlfriend at the time and I thought that it was really impressive. I ended up just buying the 3D Blu-ray because it was cheap and watching it at home. Felt just like it was when I saw it in the theater. The depth of field was great. The characters were separate from the background, which was really cool. Gave it this really cool layering effect. And it was just a really well put together package. It really took advantage of the 3D format. Honestly, for an animated film, these should be a no-brainer. They should just be really easy to just pump out in 3D. I'm surprised we're not getting more older Disney movies in 3D in the theaters. Star Wars The Last Jedi in 3D. I saw this in the theater in standard and in 3D and in D-Box with the moving chairs. It was really, really cool. This was one of those movies where it wasn't shot natively in 3D. It was post-converted after the movie was finished, but it was made with 3D in mind. So there are a lot of really cool gags where stuff is flying at the screen. The depth of field is perfect. There's images that are separate in the foreground and the background. The images are really clear and crisp. No blurring, no headaches, no nothing. This is a great example of a post-converted movie in 3D. And lightsabers in 3D look absolutely fantastic. 300 Rise of an Empire in 3D. This is another one of those post-converted movies which had 3D in mind while they were making it, so there's tons and tons of stuff flying at your face like arrows, swords, horses, blood. Lots and lots of blood. This movie's very video game feeling when it comes to the action scenes, which lends itself really well to 3D. There's like flames and embers and stuff all over the place. Really great depth of field. Nothing ever gets blurry. Images are crisp. I think because this movie was completely filmed against a green screen, it made it a lot easier for them to separate background from foreground, so the depth of field, like I said, is fantastic. Piranha 3D. This movie was filmed in 3D. It was designed completely from the ground up to be in 3D, take advantage of the format, and it really, really does. The CGI piranhas look great in 3D. When they're coming in waves, it looks like there's waves and layers of them going further and further into the background. It's fantastically done. A lot of really goofy gags in this movie, like the severed wiener.
Y'all just got me super hyped!
Lots of graphic gore in 3D, body parts and blood and gristle just thrown at the screen. There's a really awesome underwater dance segment that is kind of fantastic to watch in 3D. And lots of lady parts. So you've been warned, not safe for the kids, but goddamn, this one really took advantage of the 3D. Things that are underwater seem to work really well in 3D, and it looks fantastic in the VR headset. Speaking of an underwater movie, here's one from way back in the day. We're talking when 3D had that little bit of a resurgence in the early 80s. Friday the 13th in 3D and a whole bunch of really schlocky movies like Treasure of the Four Crowns and Coming At You and all that. Well, one of the movies that took advantage of it while it was popular was Jaws 3, otherwise known when it was released originally as Jaws 3D. I was surprised to find out that this Blu-ray copy of this guilty pleasure movie of mine actually had the 3D movie as an extra, which is awesome. I haven't seen it in 3D since in the drive-in when it was first released when I was about 8 years old. So how does an older movie that was done with a totally different style of 3D work in modern day 3D? Well, you know what? There were a couple times where I had to readjust my eyes a little bit, but for the most part it works extremely well and I was so impressed. I've seen this movie a lot. There was a couple times where I actually got genuinely creeped out by what I was seeing because of the 3D effects that I had not been used to since I have not seen them since 1983. There's a scene of the shark when it's trapped inside that giant pump. The mouth of it makes it look like the damn devil. It is scary and it haunted my dreams for a couple of nights. I do not remember it looking like that, but in the 3D, it looked frightening as hell. There's a ton of stuff poking you in the eye like they used to do back in the 80s where everything had to just be like, let's focus in on this thing that's zooming in slowly towards your retina. That kind of stuff is kind of awkward at times, but like the severed arm gag and the shark as like the bullet missile coming toward the window and all that works fantastic. Even when the shark dies at the end, it looks great. Although the 3D really does show off a lot of the flaws of the movie, like certain things don't look like they belong in frame. You can tell a lot of the times the underwater scenes were filmed in a pool. It really, really works. Nowadays, more than ever, I was surprised how good the 3D was in this. Avengers Infinity War, the third Avengers film. Saw this in IMAX 3D when it was first released. Fantastic. It looked amazing. This was another movie that was post-converted, not shot natively in 3D. I don't think anybody does that anymore. The thing about this movie that was really impressive in 3D was the fact that there is so much stuff going on in every shot during an action scene, and each one of them had its own depth of field layer. Backgrounds stay separate from the characters. Everything looks great. It's sharp. No blur at all. That is a complaint a lot of people have when it comes to 3D, is like when things are moving around really fast, it's hard to adjust your eyes. Well, there is none of that in this. It is done so well because they had a pretty high budget, so they made sure every aspect of this worked. So if you can find a copy of it in 3D, I highly recommend it. This one is one of the best looking movies in 3D that I own in my collection right now. Another old school 80s movie that translates extremely well into modern day 3D, and that is Metal Storm: The Destruction of Jared Sid in 3D. This is a guilty pleasure movie of mine from way back in the day. My parents used to rent it for us all the time. Never did see it in 3D in the theater. It came and went really quick if I remember correctly back then. The 3D in this is amazing. Yes, this is one of those 3D movies from the 80s where everything is poking you in the eye all the time, but depth of field is fantastic for a cheap Charles Band produced Empire film pumped out to just quickly cash in on the 3D craze. But it surprises me how well this movie works in 3D. It does show off a lot of the flaws. You know, they did a lot of weird compositing type things, but depth of field, great. Things poking you in the eye, in focus. Even when people are just having a standard two-shot conversation, it's still in 3D. Characters are still separate from the background. It's really impressive. There's one you're going to give me a lot of flack for buying, but know this, I only got this at a half-price books for about $5. I was surprised I found it there. I do not like this movie at all, but I did see it on IMAX 3D when it was first released, and I will admit it was some of the best 3D I had ever seen. Transformers: The Last Night. This entire movie was filmed with IMAX 3D cameras. One of the few movies that was actually filmed with a 3D camera, and with the IMAX no less, everything is crystal clear, sharp. Depth of field distance is fantastic. Everything is in sharp focus. You can tell what is what. Because of being in 3D like this, Michael Bay had to kind of calm down his normal chaotic BS. It's not a good movie, but to just watch a movie in 3D and have it make love to your eyes, this is one of the best ones out there. It looks absolutely fantastic, especially the finale. There is so much stuff flying around, coming towards the screen. It is amazing. I mean, as bad as this movie is, the 3D is absolutely top notch. It's worth watching and suffering through this movie for the 3D alone. Ready Player One. I ended up getting this off of eBay. I don't think this was released in 3D in the US, so this is like a region-free edition that comes with the Blu-ray and the 3D Blu-ray. I absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastically fun, goofy little movie that's based off of one of my favorite books. The movie works better in 3D than it does not in 3D. I saw it the night before it opened in 3D on the IMAX, and it just completely blew me away. There was so much stuff going on in this movie, and a lot of it takes place in a virtual reality world, so the 3D is amplified there compared to when you see the real world scenes. When I went and saw it a second time in 2D, I was kind of like, wow, this isn't as awesome and fun as I remember it being. But then when I got the 3D Blu-ray and I watched it again, I was like, there we go, that was it. The 3D just enhances this movie tenfold. Lots of stuff coming at you, lots of effects, like lots of particles and stuff coming at you. When somebody throws the glaive from Krull at the screen, I geek the hell out. Depth of field is fantastic. There is no blur, there is no confusion. Everything about it is pitch perfect. It's not too dark, it's not too bright, it's just right there. Like I said, the 3D enhances this movie a lot. And number one is a movie that you guys are going to give me a lot of hell for. I don't care. I love this movie. I think it is extremely fun no matter how stupid it is. Resident Evil Afterlife 3D. I saw this in the theater, I do believe 3 times in 3D because the 3D was that impressive. Why? This came out not too long after Avatar, and Paul W.S. Anderson actually utilized James Cameron's Avatar 3D camera system to film this movie. The thing about this movie that makes it, like, not good is the fact that it was basically designed to be a 3D showcase and not like a movie. There is no plot, there is no story, there is no character development. It is just all about the 3D, which is absolutely perfect for this video. Going back and watching this movie in 3D, and I've watched it plenty of times in 2D since I saw it in the theater, and I still enjoy it. The 3D is amazing. Everything about it is fantastic. It was so well thought out. The scene in the shower, every little drop of water is separate from every other one. James Cameron said that 3D should not work underwater, but Anderson proved that it can because there's an underwater scene in here where everything looks fantastic. The murkiness of the water actually helps the 3D stick out. It's really, really cool. Stuff is flying at you. Milla Jovovich is shooting shotguns loaded with quarters right at your face. It is amazing. And it is crystal clear. Even when people are just sitting around and talking, the 3D is amazing because it was actually shot natively in 3D, which is awesome. But as a movie that was designed specifically to take advantage of 3D and everything it has to offer, this is the absolute best one I own in my collection right now. And if you have a PSVR headset, I highly recommend you pick one up just as a tech demo to show your friends what 3D is supposed to look like in a movie. Top-notch stuff. And I think the movie's fun. There you go, 10 3D Blu-rays that take advantage of the 3D capabilities of the PSVR headset. There was a lot more I could have talked about. I went through every single 3D Blu-ray. There were movies that I remember having amazing 3D in the theater that did not hold up on home video at all. Like, it just was flat. Ones that I thought had crappy 3D in the theater and on home video, it looked way better. There were some that I heard rumors about, like Clash of the Titans, that had the absolute worst 3D ever made because they only had about 3 months to post-convert it. And when I watched it in 3D, yes, it is. People's hair is separate from their heads. If they have an errant hair sticking out, it is like in the background. It is the weirdest, most awkward thing I've ever seen. And I do not recommend picking that one up at all. That is the worst one in my collection. I don't have a problem with 3D. When it's done right, it's fantastic. When it's done badly, it kind of detracts from the movie. What movies would you love to see get a 3D Blu-ray release? There's a few movies from the 80s like Friday the 13th and Treasure of the Four Crowns to get 3D re-releases. I have a copy of Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone on Blu-ray. They did not put a 3D version on that. I saw that in the theater in 3D when I was a little kid. Even Star Chaser, The Legend of Orin. I want a 3D Blu-ray of that one. That would be fantastic because I saw that in 3D as well. So let me know what your favorite 3D movie experiences have been, what movies you look forward to possibly seeing on your PSVR in 3D. And until next time, I'm Chris, the Old Ass Retro Gamer, signing off.